Hey guys, what's up? It's Matt Lane and welcome back to another episode of Bloodborne Bosses. Today we're going to be discussing how to handle Ebrietas, Daughter of the Cosmos. This is an optional boss that I definitely do not recommend fighting until way later in the game. Specifically, almost one of the last bosses you really want to fight other than the final boss itself. This is definitely another one of those bosses that certainly falls in the top 5 hardest bosses in Bloodborne. Before the DLC at least. In terms of preparation, this boss is a great one. So as stated many times before, Ebrietas being a great one, this is what I would recommend to use for this fight. You can use a Beast Blood Pellet if you want a little extra damage, but I will warn you, this boss hits like a freight train, so it's not recommended per se for most players, but if you're good at dodging, it's definitely something you can use to get a little extra damage if you need it. This is one of the few bosses that I would recommend a specific item of clothing to wear. Ebrietas has a strong magic attack that she will use close into the second phase of the fight. Specifically, all magic is considered arcane in this game, so you want to get whatever clothing that you have has the strongest arcane defense. For me personally, it's going to be the choir set, specifically the white choir set. And if you take the time to look at the stats, you'll find that it definitely has a much higher arcane resistance than almost anything you're going to find. So this is definitely my suggestion for this. You do not have to do this. Any article of clothing will be fine. But if you find yourself having problems and getting killed all the time, this is definitely something I recommend that will help you defensively in a very big way. That's it for preparation, so let's go ahead and look at how to handle Ebrietas. You'll have plenty of time to figure out what your game plan is, because when you enter the arena, this boss will not be hostile. You will not actually engage the boss fight until you choose to attack the boss. But once you do this, prepare for a fight, because it's not going to be an easy one. One of the best tactics you can put into play whenever you are on the offensive is to be behind Ebrietas as much as you can and kind of stay almost on her butt. If you can't do that, just stay close to her to where you're almost in this little invisible area to where the hitboxes won't hit you. Sometimes. I know sometimes it's not what you want in a how-to video, but this boss is a tough one, and there's not really any just absolute great ways to murder her. The reason I say this is because when she does her slam attacks or any of her heart attacks, and she does hit you, it is going to hurt. Not to mention the hitboxes on her charging attacks are the biggest hitboxes I've seen in any of the bosses in this entire game. It almost feels like it is impossible to dodge this attack sometimes. Which is why you don't ever really want to get too far away from her, because when you do, she will do that charge attack that is almost impossible to dodge. So try to keep yourself always at a mid to close range. There are several attacks that you'll just have to learn over time that Ebrietas has. She has some simple melee attacks, she has some slam attacks, she has some grab attacks, none of which hit softly. Pretty much everything this boss does is going to hit you like a freaking freight train. Which is why I do not recommend going into this boss until close to the end of the game when you're a much higher level. As you continue to stay close in that little pocket as much as you can and attack the boss, once you get her down to around 50 to 60%, she's going to begin charging, and you're going to see stuff spewing out of her, and then you're going to see what looks like a sound wave kind of emit from her. When this happens, you are officially in phase 2, and it will be a lot more difficult, because now, if her hits weren't enough, anytime you are close to her, you're going to be taking damage. I'm not sure what type of voodoo this is, but once she does that little sound wave thing, now anytime you are within 5 or so feet of her, you're just taking damage. It's very small amounts, but your health will be depleting. This causes you to have to do one of two tactics. Either one, you have to be insanely aggressive and make your attacks count, or you play very conservatively, and you get in, do some attacks, and get back out. That way your health is not always just withering down. Most of the time for me on my playthroughs, the second that she enters phase 2, she begins to do her arcane attack. It's not incredibly hard to dodge as long as your camera can see them coming. If you can't, then you're probably going to be in a world of hurt, and if you didn't have any sort of clothing that had arcane defense, that attack's going to hurt really bad. Which is why I suggest the choir attire for this fight. It'll give you the best fighting chance you have of surviving the attack if you can't dodge it. And as you can see on this playthrough here, I'm almost at full health, and she does one of her flying charging attacks, which is the worst one to find yourself in, because she's going to hit you with a charge and then combo it with a slam. and almost no matter how much health you have, it's probably going to kill you if you get hit by both of these. Hence why I said earlier, this boss hits like a freight train. Going back to the aggressive tactic, one of the biggest things I can suggest is that when she begins entering phase 2, when she begins to do that charge where stuff starts emitting from her and before that sound wave happens, if you can get as close as you can and hit her head directly. Very much like the Amygdala boss, her head is one of her weak points. If you hit it enough, it will cause a visceral to happen. Obviously, by this point in the game, I don't have to tell you, viscerals are great. They do a ton of damage and they give you opportunities to get even more attacks. And if you can interrupt her charge, it's going to be even better for you because she still has to finish that charge when she gets through with the visceral. If you can, as I did here, I interrupted her charge, got the visceral, got right back in there, started attacking that head as much as I possibly could, and then just absolutely wrecked her before she could even really get into phase 2. It's fairly rare to be able to completely keep her out of phase 2, but you can certainly get a ton of damage in while she's charging because the little sound wave she does doesn't do too much damage to you, so there's really no penalty for getting in there and getting as much attacks as you can. That's really it for Ebrietas. As long as you make sure to go in with multiple things of Vault Paper, equip some Choir Garb or something that's going to have arcane defense. Make sure to stay clear of all charging and slamming attacks, and stay as aggressive as you possibly can when she is not attacking you. You have no problems defeating Ebrietas, Daughter of the Cosmos. That's going to be it for today's episode. Please like, comment, and subscribe for anything about anything. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. Make sure to tune in for the next episode where we take a look at how to handle Murgo's wet nurse. As always, thanks for watching, and we will see you guys next time.